Hey everyone, I'm Pastor Shaun. Well, here we are again at the end of 2021 and heading into 2022. And how are you feeling at this point? If you're anything like me, it's hard to believe what the last couple of years have meant for the world around us. It was nearly 2 years ago that COVID began really impacting our community, and I think many of us believed it would eventually disappear. But as I sit here writing this report, we've just received word of 2 more folks within our congregation who have tested positive, and COVID numbers in our area are up once again. Author Adam Grant wrote an article last year and said that there's a word for the emotional disposition of our world right now. He called it languishing. Languishing is a sense of stagnation and emptiness. Feels as if you're muddling through your days, looking at your life through a foggy windshield. And Grant suggests this might be the dominant emotion of 2021 in our world. I know I felt it, and I suspect you have too. And it got me thinking, is that the way God intends for us to live life? Are we supposed to just accept languishing as a common part of our lives now? Or is there a better way to live? And all of this kind of leads me into my thoughts related to my primary role here at church in teaching and preaching over the last 2 years. And so I thought I'd let you into my mind. I know, a scary thought, but just share a few thoughts about my sermon writing process and how I go about getting from a blank sheet to the message we share on Sunday morning. First, one of my objectives in messages is always to do my best to try and teach something about the culture of the passages we're studying. This is called context. For example, we did a series this past year on Jesus and his encounters with women. Understanding how women were viewed in the first century world is crucial to understanding the significance of Jesus' interactions with women and the way he elevated their status in the community. The second part of preparing messages involves moving from the past to the present and explaining how Scripture is relevant to the real-life circumstances that we face each and every day. And so always my desire is to help all of us understand the relevance of Scripture in today's world no matter what we're experiencing. And it's why things like COVID and the impact that it's having on us and major communal emotional dispositions like languishing are still on my mind. For example, in the fall, we took a journey through the book of Philippians, a letter that the Apostle Paul wrote nearly 2,000 years ago. And as we walked verse by verse through the book, we discovered how phrases like partners in the gospel and words like doulos and kurios, or concepts like table scraps and circumcision, are still relevant in our world today. Ultimately, one of my primary focuses in sharing messages is to help point us back to Jesus. Earlier I asked, are we just to accept languishing and the way this global pandemic is impacting our mental health and our communities? Or is there a better way? Well, I believe Jesus offers us that better way. Jesus even said, "I've come that you might have life and have it abundantly." And that's why you'll likely notice that in much of my preaching, I look for ways that Jesus exemplified or taught the key concept or principle that we are studying. That's why as we walk through the Advent themes of hope and peace and joy and love, more than anything else, we recognize that Jesus was the one who most clearly represents these character traits. Through it all, I hope you find yourself learning more and understanding more about Scripture. Most importantly, I hope you're challenged and find yourself putting into practice daily the teachings of Jesus. And I'm looking forward to the adventures that lie ahead for us as we open the words of Scripture in 2022. A second area of ministry responsibility for me is with our connection ministry. Every week at Five Forks, we have new people walking through our doors or tuning in to the live stream. And so each year, we try to hold a couple of Connect luncheons and classes to help connect newer folks to our church community. This past year, we held 2 Connect events, one in May with about 12 guests in attendance, and then a second luncheon in October with about 30 guests in attendance. In conjunction with these Connect luncheons, we also offer a 3-week Connect class. And this class happens over 3 consecutive Sundays, taking time to discuss in detail our theology, the history of the church, and also describing how folks can get involved in the ministries of Five Forks. This year, the Connect class was held in October and November, and again, we had about 30 folks participate in that class. Finally, a third area of ministry responsibility for me is with our Discipleship Opportunities. And one of the really neat opportunities I had this past year was to initiate and be part of the beginning of a young adult group. Our group included about 20 to 25 young adults, and we met several times throughout the second half of the year. Often our gatherings involved a time of hanging out, playing games, eating food, and then also a time of worship and Bible study. And it's been really neat to connect with this group and also incredibly rewarding to be part of the spiritual discussions of this group. We're hoping to continue growing and expanding that ministry in 2022. So yes, while languishing seems to be so prevalent in the world around us, I believe that if we keep our eyes focused on Jesus, 2022 can be a year of abundant living with Jesus. Thanks for listening.